Hello everyone and welcome back. Today we are talking about my unhaul load of 2024. I am starting 2024 off on a good note. I am Marie Condoing up my bookshelves. I am taking out the books that I read and either hated or the books I'm never going to get around to reading, if I'm being perfectly honest with myself, because there's so many other books I'd much rather read and I'm just never going to get around to it. My goal is to eventually fill up all my bookshelves with books that I either really loved or that mean a lot to me or symbolize a certain time in my life, and there are other books that are taking up space or just clutter and they don't really belong up on my bookshelf anymore. Unfortunately, there's no space for them. I much rather fill them with books that I like looking at my bookshelves and feeling happy and joyful, and I don't have my bookshelf and see a book that I hate and just relive all these terrible memories that I've had while reading that. So join me today as we declutter my bookshelves. So first we're starting off our list with the 2 sequels to Red Queen by Graveyard. And even though I liked Red Queen well enough, it just didn't spark any motivation in me to continue the series. I wasn't in tune to the world enough. I didn't really like the characters enough to want to see how it turned out. And from what I can tell, this series is going for a while and it's just not worth my time. Or maybe I'll just listen to the audiobooks, but again, I don't want to have these books sitting out on my shelves collecting dust when I could actually put books on there that I'd enjoy. Speaking of the Red Queen series, I'll also be taking the first book off my shelf, even though I did like it. It's a book basically about this super special girl named Mare Barrow who is a super powered individual, even though she's a red blood, and in her world, the silver bloods are the only ones who are powerful. And then she basically has to pretend to be the secret lost princess, and there's like this love triangle between her and the princes, and there's this evil plot to overthrow the castle and the rebels, and there's just a lot going on, and it just kind of, again, it just fell flat for me. I didn't really like it as much as I thought I would, but either way, I just want to get rid of it because, again, I didn't like it enough to keep it on my shelves, and it just doesn't have any nostalgia for me. This book, I feel personally victimized. Beautiful World, Where Are You by Sally Rooney. I adore Sally Rooney as a writer. I love Normal People. I love Conversation with Friends. I would say that those 2 books are my top 20 favorite books of all time, and this one was my least favorite by far. I hated the character Felix so much. He was so gross. He was the worst. He was such a hypocrite. He was such an asshole to everyone he met, and yet somehow the main character still wanted to have a relationship with him. I'm like, I'm sorry, what? Do you hate yourself that much that you want to spend the rest of your life with this person? Are you serious? Like, oh my gosh, I hated this guy so much. And this story, I didn't really understand the main theme of it. Like, Normal People was about 2 people. It was like 2 ships in the night, right? So these 2 lovers who just couldn't really get on the same page, and just them trying to navigate this relationship where they go from being just lovers to being something more. And then Conversation with Friends was about an affair. And this one was just 4 people who are miserable, who are struggling, who are pretending to be friends and find love in between, and that was it. Like, there was no direction. There was no point to this book. And yeah, again, it's not my favorite Sally Rooney, and I want it off my shelves. Next up, we have If We Were Villains by M.L. Rio. And this book I actually read as a Kindle originally, but I wanted to get the book, the physical copy, for my shelves because I thought I would really like it. And then I got to the end and I hated it. So this book has a dark academia vibe where it takes place at this very niche, very prestigious school called Delacare. And at this school, they only really study Shakespeare plays and only perform those on stage. And these friends, who are a little circle of actors, at the school there was a murder and all the friends are suspects. And again, this book had great direction. I liked where it was going. I liked all the references to Shakespeare because I love Shakespeare. I studied him in college. And then the ending was just so laughably bad in an unintentional way, where one character did something in order to protect another character, and then it went and bit him in the ass. And I just didn't feel bad for him. Like, I know you're supposed to sympathize with that character and what happened as a ripple effect of his decisions, but I didn't. I'm like, I'm sorry, what did you expect to happen? Like a happily ever after? No, you ruined your life. I'm sorry. There is never going to be a happy ending for you. And it kind of ended like a very Romeo and Juliet way, but which I didn't like. And yeah, very disappointed. I don't want it on my shelves anymore. And the cover is just mid. I mean, it's kind of cute. I like the font, but it's just plain black and I don't know. No reason to keep it here. There's no room for you anymore. This one is a bit of a weird unhaul for me, and it's Scarlet by Marissa Meyer. And it's not because I don't like this book, it's actually because it's stained. Like right there, you can kind of see it. There's like a red wine stain from yours truly. And I got a brand new edition, so I don't need that one anymore. So I'm just gonna give it away. Next up, we have We Were Liars by E. Lockhart. And again, this is another book that I got because Book Talk told me to. And I like the original premise of this young girl returning to her summer house to solve the mystery of how she got into this accident where she got a huge bump on her head and she had amnesia. So she can't really remember what happened the last summer she was there years ago. So she goes back that summer to figure out